questions, we can move into that part of it towards the end. So, my first question is for Mr. Bagaloo, right? Actually, before that, why don't you guys introduce yourselves very briefly, like 30 seconds, if you can manage that.
Williams, Mayor of Kingston.
Good evening, I'm Felicia Phillips, Councillor for the Papine Division.
Good afternoon, all. Wilfred Bagaloo, Price House, who was second generation Hindu Jamaican. And a product of a diverse Jamaica. My mother's side family was Muslim, my father's side family, my father is Hindu, so I'm a product of Muslim and Hindu.
Good afternoon, everyone. Richard Pangawi, from South Island, Roman Pangawi, actually. So listen, I'm a product of slaves from Africa, indentured workers from India. So in my genetics, I work hard for a little bit of money. Not a good genetics, but yes, I'm here today and I'm looking to participate and I'm truly delighted to be here.
Awesome. So, I'll start with you, Senator. Were there any, if you can describe your interactions with the Indian community in the work that you've done with the city of Kingston and in your other political career over the years?
Well, for one, the division that I represent has a large number of Indians inside there. So I've been related to Indians probably all my life. My father is an Indian, and side of family is Indian. Bagaloo knows very well, Richard knows very well. So I've been exposed to the Indian culture from birth. The food, I believe my father was the best cook ever of Indian food. Still today, I've not eaten Indian food as good as he's cooking. And the music and the festivals. So I grew up on that. And as I said, the division I represent. Because I have that background, I have an appreciation for the role that the Indians and the Indian culture, the role that it has played in the evolution of our own culture here, and that it has played an integral role in what the Jamaican culture is. And because of that, we have reached out as a municipality in honoring our history. We have had many collaborations with the embassy. It was a full council decision to honor Dr. Mbeka and to place the monument where it is today. And it was a joy doing it. And we also, in terms of the sharing of culture and making the Indian culture part of our downtown community, we have had exchanges in terms of murals. The Indian government donated a mural to the pedestrianized space. So, and we're expanding that relationship. So there's far more for us to do in terms of cultural exchanges and expanding and honoring the culture here, but also, we should speak to briefly later, also exchanges on the economic side and how we can forge economic relations and commercial relations between India. And it's growing now, it's growing. Has been growing since 2009. It's further in terms of bilateral trade is far greater now than it was in 2009. So it has been growing, and I believe that we have lots of opportunities between both countries to explore.
Thank you. Councillor, what do you think we could do more to increase the impact of Indian community over here?
I would like to take us to the point of the reintegration of the Indian culture into the communities in Jamaica. We have for generations had the input of the Indian community in our commercial spaces, and we have seen the infusion of the culture. I myself, as a descendant of Indians, my father was born known as Coolie from the streets. And yes, we were the Coolie people at First Avenue and Margaret. So the reality is that there is an absence of that sense of the Indian culture in our communities today. And so we have to restore that. Already, Jamaicans have adopted curry goat as part of the national dish next to ackee. Now we need to broaden that. We heard earlier where we need to look at how the knowledge-based industry is impacted. But if the communities are not involved, then the buying will not happen, and that expansion that we see will not take place. So through the local communities and certainly through the council, we should be able to see a regeneration of businesses downtown, Indian businesses. I don't know the age of some of the persons in here, but I remember Princess Street, Bedford Street, some parts of King Street, all the people who had the jewelry shops downtown. These were Indian people. We have seen a transition to other ethnicities plying their wares without the kind of appreciation for what the Indian community has given to this country. And so we need to reignite that. I believe through the municipality, we should be able to work with the High Commission to get business people back into the space. But it is important for us to incorporate whatever we're doing at the community level so that the average Jamaican can relate to the contribution of the Indians in our Jamaican culture.
Oh, great, thank you. I have some questions for you. What is your understanding of current interaction between India and Jamaica from an economic standpoint?
But I think the trade is very small. India probably was more than 30 billion US into Jamaica, which would be an export something like $2.5 billion US. I think, so the trade is very small. 30 million into Jamaica from India, 2.5 million from Jamaica to India. That's not trade. I think a lot of things has to be done. I see Steve said the point is here, the ambassador is here. I think what's required is, first of all, you need to have things like double taxation treaties in place. I think when you look at what has happened since 1944 in terms of trade, the countries have gone very, very well. When we created the International Construction Bank, which I believe is a vision of the World Bank. Many countries took advantage of the exit banks. China did that exceptionally well, having learned from the Europeans and Americans in the last decade. I'm hoping that I will see India and Jamaica form some kind of arrangement where the exit bank from China can be used, or India can be used, as efficiently as the Chinese have used the exit bank, backed by Sinashore. And I think what that will allow is a lot more trade between the countries. It will allow Indians to export to Jamaica, not taking the risk of Jamaica, but taking the risk of the exit bank, and vice versa. And Jamaica will also have to revamp and really look at its own exit bank. And this is for both goods and services. I want to talk about something normal here. Look at all the countries that expanded after World War II. A lot of them were exit banks. And the Chinese mastered it in the last decade and a half, by creating an insurance platform through Sinashore. I think India, a population of 1.2 billion people, growing 5 to 12% depends on which national aid we take, have an enormous opportunity to structure a similar arrangement, particularly for not only Jamaica but Caribbean.
Right. Thank you. Good points. Rich, what are your thoughts?
Well, so I'm not as well learned about numbers of guys here, so I can speak very simply. India is probably one of the largest economy in the world, second largest manufacturing base. Jamaica on its own will be a very interesting. That's the reality. We're too small. I mean, what Jamaica has to do is position itself as an entry to the Caribbean. So we have to sell the Caribbean from Jamaica as opposed to Jamaica by itself. So for example, Indian Guyana has just, I think just this week, have signed an economic deal on air services, on bringing ICT people into their country. And we should have been the ones who are far ahead in terms of Jamaica is very progressive when it comes to this type of diplomacy and engagement. We should have been the ones to be leading that process to bring India to the Caribbean. So keep talking about Jamaica, we're so proud of it, people passing the country, whatever, all the rest. When it comes to making material change, to our conditions to creating wealth, we have to set ourselves as a region. And Jamaica is very well positioned to do that. If we don't move super fast, that is going to lose that advantage. So to me, that's a very important factor. And I want to step back. We talk about Indians coming to Jamaica and indentured servants, etc. Labels. It's ironic where we are today. The Indians came to fill an economic need because of the shortage of workers after slavery was abolished.
Absolutely.
200 plus years later, our Prime Minister is talking about the shortage of labor that's holding back our economy. And we therefore need importation of skilled people back into our country.
Absolutely.
The irony cannot be escaped. Everybody's talking about understanding that what we need. Huge opportunity again. So I mean, I want to stop there. I just leave that out there, but those are two key things that we do.
Right. So which areas do we think that this regional
So you want to
economy could be stored into?
So you want to look at something that's mutually beneficial, right? And that people are strengthening. The key to the Caribbean really growing, especially at Jamaica, is going to be based on the pillar of agriculture and agri-processing. Food and water is becoming, we're now recognizing how important it is.
Yes.
And then we never learned from the COVID, we should learn this. Your friends and neighbors, when push comes to shove, will keep the things for themselves. We do not get vaccines from our friends and neighbors.
Yes, all right.
When you think food shortage, you can give us. So we need to start developing those capacities. India has the largest agriculture industry in the world. And they produce 8% or 12% of the world demand. That could be something that we could do very easily in Jamaica with the right resources. With cooperation with India, supply becoming a food source to the rest of the Caribbean and beyond. That to me is our key thing, agriculture, agri-processing. We keep looking at everything else. The ICT we're not going to develop overnight. That's a process. We have to import that skill, ready-made. But something like agriculture, etc., we can work with them along with that. So, I mean, I don't like to talk about 10 million things. I like to talk about a few things and then execute them. That's what we have to do.
I was in India last January the first time. I've been to China 15 times I believe. Been to India the first time. Hopefully the last time. I think on agriculture we need to focus on what they call millets. We need millets. We have to find a way to change the Jamaican importation of some of the basic commodities. Millet and commodity. The second thing that we have to do is in my sector we're very, very short on professional service. And I think places like India, Malaysia, Philippines are where we need to look. And the government needs to revisit. And there's a political issue, but the government needs to revisit. We're not going to move the economy unless we have the skill sets. We can export services, my firm can export services from Jamaica to the rest of the Caribbean. But we have very, very hard immigration laws. Surprisingly, for a country that, as Richard touched on a while ago, dependent on immigration at one point in time. And every other country dependent on immigration in the economy. At some point, we become common sense and we become very practical, despite the political challenges.
I'm here to the thing, but can I just say to us that let us not for a second discount the value of the microsector in all of this. When you ask the question just about how we can reignite that Indian culture thing, the microsector, I mean, because we're downtown, I usually like to, as a councillor, keep it where the people are. And I heard Minister Green speak to the grassroots Indians. They might not be able to operate at the macro level, at the larger level of the economic scale, but they can contribute to the entire commercial space. And whether you believe it or not, in their own germane space, that microsector can become a big economic ticket for the government. It will also give them cultural relevance. You will see an expansion of the community, and the kind of validity will be restored to the Indians at the grassroots level. And so I believe that in all our deliberations, we have to look at how you get the people at the grassroots level involved in commercial activities, plying the wares that are coming through and out of India, so that we can get that connection going with the people of Jamaica again.
I want to mention a few things, and Richard and Bagalu touched on. Bagalu mentioned treaty arrangements. The Jamaica has many bilateral investment treaty arrangements.
But not with India.
Not with India, with countries across the globe, in Europe, many countries in Europe, Argentina and South America, South Korea, and the United States, also China also. That is important to explore a bilateral investment treaty arrangement with India. For one, the investment promotion and protection, also the issue of avoidance of double taxation. And there's also something else that is very important, is the issue of the mutual legal assistance arrangement. That is also very critical, that there is cooperation on the investigation and prosecution on criminal and similar criminal matters. Those are kind of essential foundations for you to pivot from in international trade and commercial arrangements.
Right, thank you. So one of the things that I've noted, at least in the last 20 odd years in here, right, is that there's very little movement or very little promotion of India as an investment space, or Jamaica as an investment space for Indian businesses. I think when BPOs came here pretty late in the evolution of that industry, right? Philippines, India itself, a lot of Southeast Asia, was first spawned by BPOs, and then, it came to Jamaica much later, right? About 20 odd years after the industry had been born, even more than that. But I think it grew out of Jampro doing a very targeted job to get BPOs here, right? But we haven't seen that level of focus for any of the other industries, right? Pricewaterhouse had a big IT business here in the 90s, huge, right? Kenny had a business as well, right? A big IT business. Again, housed by Indians, created by Indians, but it seems to have disappeared. So what are some of the things that we could do to kind of bring back that? What are some of the structural things that we could do to bring this back, from a professional services perspective, but also with regard to trade? I know we can learn a lot of stuff. Bridget, you mentioned agriculture. I actually think it can be extended to a lot of other things like water management, for example, which is another big part of our issues over here in Jamaica, right? So I would just like a quick discussion around what structural things we could do to make it much more easier for the two countries to cooperate.
Now let's address structural issues. People like to do business with people they like and they know about. I mean, that's the reality. That's who you do business with.
Right.
I don't think India's done a really good job of letting the region know about what she knows, right?
Absolutely.
Because this is not a focus of India. This is not it's ironic to me. COVID has completely decoupled the world supply chain.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there are huge advantages in this side of the world. But I don't think India's focus is there. I mean, I was shocked when my chairman, Kenneth Benjamin, took India to know his passport when he became a national citizen. That itself is reflective of how short-sighted India has been on a global scale when it comes to this side of the world. So the focus is elsewhere. And I think that, I'm in the business community, and I've engaged Indian community, I've brought Indian companies here, Indian workers. But that's because you have to go and search for it, sure, and find it. But you just don't have a knowledge of what is out there, right? And I think that's the first thing that needs to be done. Create a space where you actually know what exists. And I have a feeling that there's an opportunity. I mean, the reality is that Minister Blanche Grange, hit a point that I shouldn't beg her not to say, but she said it. Indo-Caribbeans are not considered to the Indians.
Right.
That's the reality. And that needs to change. You have your biggest resource is your Indian people that have left 200 years ago. The Europeans don't treat their descendants that way. But yet still Indian do that, right? So we don't consider ourselves part of India. I think that also is a great. Where's the one? No, it's not about distance. It's not about distance. It's about emotional and psychological connection. It's just not there. I got exposed to India and Indians when I moved to Trinidad. That was very different. They started to come back central. People came from Madras, Chennai, I went to until I went to that culture anymore. So I think that's a big issue to throw the Caribbean. I chat to myself.
No, that's a good point.
So I think on the structural issue, we really have to put infrastructure in place. And I think the exit plan is saying that infrastructure can be anything is more. I think the Ministry of Foreign Affairs have put the defensive here, but anyone knows me can be sometimes. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs had Japan to a lot more as well. Then promoting Jamaica, looking for opportunity that come to us. We must go and look it. And having been to China 15 times, I'm amazed how aggressive they are. Sometimes they're too aggressive. But they're constantly on the hunt. And I think the Indian public also needs some of that view, that approach. Years ago, the Economist magazine wrote an article about China. It says that they never say no. If you go to a Chinese store, it's kind of like a red umbrella. The actual title of the magazine for the article was red umbrella versus yellow umbrella. If you go to a Chinese store, it's kind of like a red umbrella. He said, yes sir, I have umbrella, I have umbrella. He said, no, want a red umbrella. And he's showing you the yellow umbrella, but he's still telling you that he has umbrella, despite the fact that you keep asking him for a red umbrella. There's a difference in psychology and approach.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. Yeah, and I have actually have to ask Akshay, who's also a businessman, after this to kind of explain a little bit of that compared to India. Denisha?
Yes, and I totally agree because when I listened to it again, you said that because of how the descendants feel that disconnect with India, Jamaicans, whether they're Jamaican Indians or not, we like to feel that sense of belonging. And if we don't, then this disinterest will continue to grow. And so it is very, very important, and I believe that this conference is a starting point for even the average Indian, in the grassroots Indian across Jamaica to have, if they weren't here, to at least have an opportunity to see that something is turning and that they can start to feel that sense of belonging again. What we have to do at the leadership levels is to find those products, those services, those programs that will cause them to feel that sense of attachment to it and to be able to participate in it. The only way to grow it is through the involvement of the people on the ground. And so that is where we are going to have to make sure that the metal is lower.
Thank you.
Mentioned the exim bank, very critical. The relationship is how you put it. Once opportunities exist and people begin, the structures are created for people to explore opportunities, and then there is a deliberate focus, then the trade will grow over time. I believe there is far greater focus now and Jamaica-Indian relations than ever before. When I say focus, the focus is on we can benefit from India. We can benefit from this relationship. Let's build it. So I believe you will begin to see a lot of the structures that are in place for other countries that we have healthy trade relations with. You'll begin to see those, over time, those structures be placed within the Indian, Jamaica-India context, which will help. The issue of, we currently have MOU on research, food research and technology. That's a critical area because you want to build the new economy on the foundation of major pillar has to be research. So cooperation and collaboration with India in the area of research, food research and technology, I believe is critical. We have to expand this and we have to begin to focus on it so that we develop the issue of digital technology and the fusion of digital technology and creativity is also another major area where small and medium-sized businesses develop and flourish in that arena. Digital technology, the fusion with creativity of digital technology. India and how we structure this relationship can help us as a country. Well, we mutually benefit from this relationship. And I think from the standpoint of Jamaica, the cooperation with India with respect to digital technology, the fusion of that with creativity in terms of the area of research, food research, and another area of research is critical as part of structuring relations that will benefit trade and investment.
Technology and third.
If I could say something about that, visiting hydrogen ambassador, visiting hydrogen in Hyderabad in January of this year. I think the T-Hub has been established there to be a great facility to bring to Jamaica and could benefit both of us mutually. I don't know how that is structured, but I can see it could create innovation here. It could also allow your counterparts in India to learn further about other markets. And if we could replicate something like the T-Hub here, I think we'd do it.
Rich, any other thoughts?
I mean, there's some low-hanging fruits. You talk about the pharma industry, for example, which is entirely 100% importation business. There's opportunity for manufacturing there, to bring in molecules, the generic drugs in the region. That could be a huge step. Again, with COVID, nearshoring has become a thing. Gone are days at this point where people want to have mega plants in China, etc. They want to be closer to their markets. And there's huge opportunity to come down to Jamaica, special economic zone, with attracting low complexity manufacturing to feed the region. There's, again, somebody spoke earlier, you have to have the capacity to want to do it also. So on the Jamaica side, the opportunity is present, but you have to have people who can execute it. We talk a lot, we talk really well, but we don't execute really well. And therefore, if you don't show that capacity to execute, they're not going to continue that interest from economies like India. But again, a few things out there that we can execute in short term, I think will make a difference.
Two areas I think India could look at ports. Ports certainly must be a way to India. Ports must be a logistics. If we have learned one thing from COVID is the logistics challenges and the risks that they have. And I think those countries in the east, India, Malaysia, and China, I think certainly we'll have to start rethinking. And it's us to sell ourselves in Jamaica. About the ports we have. We have many ports. Many of them that are more functional than the Kingston container terminal in the east and in the south of the country. But we have done a good job. But I believe that many in the east will have to start seeing Jamaica as a logistics hub, as a light manufacturing center, to start managing the logistics challenges that they have. And if not creating some kind of hedging the risk through logistics. I think the second area that India and Jamaica will look at is mining and bauxite. 1.3 billion people, they need resources. Jamaica has a lot of limestone. India has a lot of limestone, but Jamaica is in the top 5. But in terms of mining limestone, based on a report done by India, Jamaica has the second best ranked limestone in the world behind DR in terms of mining. Being when you're mining is consistent, going down the grade. We haven't done a good job of that. And I think with the new power supplies that they have, the government diversification of it, through new fortress, etc., I think it's an opportunity as well for India. And finally, wasted energy, I think it's a massive opportunity for India and Indian companies. And I think it's something that we all want to focus on. I hope the government issued an RFP fairly quickly. The last 10 years we've issued it. Seems to span both administration. I'm not sure what the complexity is, but that's Jamaican government's name. But I think there's an enormous opportunity as well for the Indian company. They have done very well in that area, and they could do very well in Jamaica, waste energy.
Thank you. So, I think there are a couple of good points that have come out of here, right? I think the first thing for us is really to try and create a focus on creating more economic cooperation, right? I know India has signed several joint economic trade agreements with different countries, and that may be a starting point for us, where we can put down a list of items that we can cooperate on. I have mentioned to you bilateral investment treaties as well as double taxation. I think these are all things that can create a mechanism by which Indian companies who want to invest not just in Jamaica but want to use it as a region or as a place to invest in the region can become something that as an aiding mechanism for them to come back over here. But I think more importantly for the government over here as well, to make it a priority to increase that cooperation with India. I mean, from my perspective, when I look at Jamaica's history, there's a lot of things that exist with different countries, right? With India, it's only been positive, right? There's been no issues with bananas or with drugs in the U.S. or issues with CARICOM or anything. We have, the state is wide open for us at this point to kind of create something completely new and something big, right? I'm going to thank you very much. Really appreciate the time. I'm going to open up the floor for some questions if that's okay with you. I'm actually going to start with Akshay, right? Akshay, you've gone to India and you've gone to China to bring back instruments and or medical equipment. And what has your experience been particularly with regard to trading with India versus China, for example? And what are some of the things that we could do over here to make it much easier for us to increase that trade?
Sorry, I'm totally unprepared for this, but if I was to give you 2 words, it's accent and confidence. I'll tell you what I mean by that. Years ago, I was on the first board of Health Corporation Limited when it started, and all of our medical sundries were bought from American companies. All of them were made in India. And I went to them and said, why don't we go to India and source it ourselves? Happily, we were able to bring down pharmaceutical prices, and pharmaceutical companies came into Jamaica. But the accent and confidence that if it's not said in an American accent or a European accent, it's not good, is what hinders us here.
Right.
As much as we spoke about opening up the markets and so on, there also has to be a realization by Jamaica that Jamaica is a small market for India, it's not a focus.
Right.
And therefore, if you have a hindrance, they're going to go elsewhere. I led a Jamaica delegation 20 years ago, 15 years ago to India. We looked at many facets, including the film industry. They were ready to come and shoot a Bollywood film. Here. No concession was given by government. You know where they went? Bahamas. We talk about Guyana right now has just signed a treaty as one of the 22 countries in the world which will trade in the rupee as a currency of trade. So we have got to, as was pointed out already, make the playing field lucrative. We have 2 ways of attracting India to Jamaica. One is through Bollywood and the other is through cricket. Because there's no country more beautiful in the world than Jamaica, and cricket is common in our veins. The Indian cricket team is coming to the Caribbean in 3 months' time. Jamaica did not even put in a bid to have a match here. With it comes commerce, with it comes business. When in the CPL you have Bollywood stars going around the circuit, we do not have a match in Jamaica. There's a World Cup T20 coming in 2024. That should be our showcase for bringing in Indian businessmen through cricket and culture. And I can tell you they're showing for us.
Thank you.
Anyway, that's how Kenny got there. Kenny got there watching cricket.
He did. The other Dr. Mansi. I'll come to you once again, sir. Yeah.
Just checking. I'm just saying something on the digital space. India has been a great success in digital transformation. And if you went to India in January, I hope you noticed it, that nobody uses wallets and cash and even plastic. Plastic is days gone by. It's all mobile. India, if you look at the income pyramid, if you look at the education, it is a developing country, although it's reached the top 5, but there's a large population which is still living under the poverty. So how has India managed to become so digitally transformed? I think that success story, Jamaica needs to learn from India. And we are on the path. And I just wanted to invite anyone here who wishes to come to it's a lecture by the co-founder of Indian Digital Foundation. He's coming to Jamaica next week. He's a guest of Office of Prime Minister, and at UWI on April 5th at 4:30, there is a talk on digital at the heart of societal transformation. And I think as a country, a developing country, a democratic country, if they have adopted national identity in terms of Aadhaar. I think Jamaica can learn so much from that, because in Jamaica there's a thing that it can't happen here, but I think it can happen here. So that's an important thing for us to see as we go forward in the digital space, which is the way we can leapfrog into, we are living in the AI world. We need to leapfrog right now, and if we don't do it, we'll be far behind.
Thank you. Any other questions from the floor? Will you come closer to the mic?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Just want to add to what Dr. Turbo had mentioned earlier regarding Hussein. So we have one event before Hussein, and this is hosted by the JSR family. This is the Tassel Festival, and it includes all 3 families that will be partaking in Hussein this year. So that is going to be the 5th of August. The first Hussein for this year is the 11 and 12 at Racecourse Farringham, and this will be hosted by the JSR family. The second is the 18th and 19th at Imelit, and this will be hosted by the Mahavir family. The third one is the 25th and 26th of August, and this is hosted by the Sunan family. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Mupuri.
Good evening, all. Again, panelists and high commissioner. I heard loud and clear, but I can speak my perspective as an entrepreneur and a businessman in this country. It's not anymore, this subject is not anymore of Indian diaspora and what we can do here at this point in terms of economy. Remember, Indians came here 177 years ago. It took 17 weeks for them to come here. First ship. It's now taking 17 hours for them to reach here. When they come here, Indians are extremely impatient. The new generation. That means we want to address this to the government of Jamaica. Madam Minister, the basic of what we face as entrepreneurs is the speed of service. There's a serious disconnectivity between several agencies here. Yes, there's Jamco, which is our gateway to open to the business, the entrepreneurs, but when you go to Jamco, in India we have something called single window policy, where you go to one agency, they walk through everything, and there's a scheduled time where you get your approvals in a particular period of time. Once we don't deliver that in Jamaica right now, Indians will look at other destinations. We are geographically in a fantastic location, Jamaica Kings May Port. Again, we can start off with a logistics center to begin with. First step, then we can go for manufacturing, provided we, as a host country, give a sense of comfort to the investors coming all the way from India. Remember, they are getting patient. So this will be my thing to the government of Jamaica.
Thank you. All right. Any further questions from the floor?
You said should be a homecoming for Jamaicans.
Sure.
That's what I go to North America. It's a whole week at that right on Sunfest. I'm serious. Dead serious. Who said good right on Sunfest? But let me go back. We are totally on to mention. India has the fastest rate of growth of billionaires. And it didn't come overnight. It came from a deliberate policy by the Indian authorities for the last 2 decades. We must make use of it. And I mentioned 2 things here: agriculture and tourism. Like manufacturing and so on, agriculture and tourism. And we must capture that good affluence that is taking place on the Indian subcontinent. Otherwise, we're getting there.
Thank you. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Much appreciated. Thank you everyone for staying for this part of the discussion.